This story is so crazy. I'm just going to have to get right into this. So the good people at AtlantaBlackStar.com posted this article, and I heard about this a few years ago, and I meant to report on it, but I'm glad that we have an update in the story now. The title of the article is Massachusetts Court Dismisses 21,000 Drug Cases After State Chemists Falsified Evidence. The article was written by David Lowe. It was posted April 24th to 2017. Here's what he wrote. In what is being described as the largest single dismissal of wrongful criminal convictions in U.S. history, a Massachusetts court has dismissed over 21,000 drug-related cases after it was discovered that a state crime lab chemist falsified and fabricated evidence. On April 19 in Boston, a state court judge vacated the convictions in the case of Bridgman versus District Attorney for Suffolk County, which was filed by the ACLU of Massachusetts, the National ACLU, the State Public Defender's Office, and law firm Fick and Marks LLP. The drug convictions, which span the 7 counties of Suffolk, Essex, Bristol, Middlesex, Plymouth, Norfolk, and Cape and Islands, had relied on the doctored lab results of Annie Dookhan, whose misdeeds came to light in 2012 after she forged a colleague's initials. The employee with the State Department of Public Health had lied about having a master's degree, declared untested drug samples as positive, and otherwise committed massive fraud in order to advance her career and build a reputation as an expert witness in drug trials. In 2013, she pleaded guilty to 27 counts, including evidence tampering, perjury, and obstruction of justice, and was sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison with 2 years of probation. According to the New York Times, she was recently paroled after serving 3 years, as UPI reported. Dookhan's work had impacted approximately 24,000 cases, according to the ACLU of Massachusetts, with prosecutors moving to toss out 21,587 of the convictions. Out of 8,003 cases from Suffolk County, 7,886 were dismissed, as MassLive.com reported. For the record, almost all the cases had to be thrown out. All those people went to jail thanks to this evil demon. Jake Wark, press secretary for Suffolk County District Attorney Daniel F. Conley, told Atlanta Black Star that his office had learned of several cases in 2012 in which Dookhan had certified inert substances as illicit. Quote, "We immediately acted to terminate the prosecutions in those cases, and very fortunately, none was serving a sentence based solely on a Dookhan related case." Well, I tell you what, let me interject right there. It may not have been solely based on the false evidence that she provided, but hell, it sounds like she contributed to it if they're having to throw out cases, doesn't it? But anyways, back to the article. Wark said, "Since that time, the appeals have been on procedural grounds, not factual ones. That is, the defendants didn't claim to be innocent, but rather claim that they would not have pleaded guilty, or in a smaller number of cases could have obtained a more favorable trial verdict had Dookhan's misconduct been known at the time of adjudication. The court ordered prosecutors to list the convictions they would move to dismiss, and those cases they would choose to relitigate. Court documents acknowledge the, quote, continuing adverse consequences of these convictions, end quote, on the wrongfully condemned, and the burden of these cases have imposed on the criminal justice system. Quote, District Attorney Conley made the decision to focus only on the most serious convictions involving high-level or violent offenders. Wark said, quote, "So while the retested drugs, scales, baggies, cutting agents, ledgers, phone records, surveillance video, independent witness statements, and other evidence were likely still available and admissible in thousands of the lower level cases, he moved to dismiss them and concentrate on the most serious 117, about 1.5% of the total," end quote. Carl Williams, staff attorney for the ACLU of Massachusetts said his organization faced resistance and had to sue the district attorney's office to bring about the thousands of dismissals. He stated in a phone interview that this, quote, the largest dismissal of criminal cases based on a single court filing in history, end quote, is part of a, quote, systemic problem involving prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, and jailers. Quote, this is the war on drugs, Williams said of the larger implications of Dookhan. Quote, over 24,000 cases from 8 years, and they called her Superwoman because she was doing the bidding of the system of mass incarceration in the war on drugs. If it were anything else, if it were for rich people, for white people, this would not be allowed to stand, he added. With the war on drugs, it is inevitable that you will have scandals involving injustice, end quote. The ACLU attorney also noted that 60% of these cases involve the criminalization of drug users. Quote, that doesn't help anyone who's struggling with drug addiction, Williams said. Quote, some of these people who use drugs are in the juvenile system. It masks what we are dealing with children. They were children who possessed drugs, end quote, he added, offering that these people did not commit a crime. Quote, we are addicted to the idea that we can put people in jail and they will stop doing drugs. That is outrageous because in jail, every form of drug is available. It is a public health situation, not a criminal incarceration situation, end quote. These wrongful convictions in the name of the war on drugs have taken their toll, the ACLU says, particularly among black and brown communities. People have lost their homes, their livelihoods, and in some cases have been deported from the country. One of Dookhan's defendants, Kevin Bridgman, is disabled and collects Social Security disability benefits. Bridgman, who was a long-term volunteer at a nonprofit organization supporting the formerly incarcerated, pleaded guilty in 2005 and 2008 to cocaine possession and distribution charges. In each case was sentenced to several years in prison. In both cases, he waived his right to a jury trial, but had he known of Dookhan's misconduct, would have gone to trial or sought different plea agreements. Quote, I am concerned that if I withdraw my guilty plea or otherwise vacate my conviction on the basis of Ms. Dookhan's misconduct, I could be prosecuted for the serious charges which the Commonwealth moved to dismiss and be sentenced to a longer prison term, end quote, Bridgman, who is now free, said in an affidavit. In 2009, another defendant, Miguel, I'm going to ruin his name. In 2009, another defendant, Miguel Cuevas, was sentenced to 4.5 to 5 years in prison for heroin and cocaine distribution, and after his release, worked at a department store and became active in the community. Similarly, in 2005, Yasir Kriech was sentenced to a year in prison for cocaine possession based on drug certificates signed by Dookhan, reporting the samples in his case tested positive for cocaine. Kriech said that had he known about Dookhan's fraudulent actions, he would have negotiated a better plea deal with his lawyer. These recent dismissals have implications from another ongoing case of a state crime lab chemist in Western Massachusetts. A report from the Massachusetts Attorney General released last May found that for 8 years, chemist Sanja Farak was high on drugs nearly every day she came to work at the state drug lab in Amherst. Farak, who was arrested in 2003 and sentenced in 2014, abused cocaine, LSD, and methamphetamines, stole the drugs from the lab, and manufactured crack herself with the use of lab supplies. You can't make this shit up. The events in Massachusetts come as President Trump seeks to ramp up the war on drugs in poor black communities, even as his administration responds to the predominantly white issue of opioid addiction as a crisis in need of treatment. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has eliminated a Department of Justice Forensic Science Commission, which ensures innocent people are not in prison. Quote, Jeff Sessions has made direct statements about the ACLU and said it is one of the biggest threats to civil rights in the United States, which is fascinating, end quote. Carl Williams of the ACLU said, noting that Sessions has a long career of opposing civil rights and engaging in dog whistle politics, including appeals to white supremacists. The federal government's top prosecutor, Williams, said, quote, is thrilled about marijuana possession laws, end quote, When it comes to drug legalization and decriminalization, Williams believes Sessions is, quote, a dinosaur of another age that is trying to hold on to the last grasp of the antebellum South, end quote. The solution to ending the war on drugs and policies that ensnare the community, according to Williams, is up to those people affected. Quote, it isn't about them. It is about us. Under Reagan, when people started to deal with the AIDS crisis, people fought like hell and saved millions of people's lives, end quote, Williams said. Quote, Reagan was dead set against it and would not mention AIDS. I think very much the same way the ball is in our court. We can organize. We can get people who are affected by these policies. We can fight against it, and every time we will win, end quote. He added, noting that we challenge slavery in this country. Quote, history is not on their side. Williams said of the proponents of the drug war, quote, we have a legacy of black women, especially, and black people. We can look back at the brave, dramatic, and victorious struggle of freedom that our people fought and won. Quote, we owe it to them. It is in our souls, he said. There is a reason why we're here, end quote. Wow. Oh boy. That was a lengthy article, and he had to fuck it up right there at the end. This Williams asshole. We have a legacy of black women, especially, and black people. We can look back at the brave and dramatic victorious struggle of freedom that our people fought and won. Yeah, it was black women that fought it. Sure. Okay. I mean, it's black men that are going to jail over these drug charges, and they're the ones that are selling drugs, the ones that are actually guilty, are doing it to get money to give to black women. That's something that a lot of people forget about in the situation, but yet he had to give black women credit some way and separate black people. We have a legacy of black women, especially, and black people. Why not just say black people from the fucking beginning? Why make black women especially? Rather, why say black women especially? Why? What was the point of I fucking hate this shit. I swear to fucking God. Negroes are real quick to separate black people and black women just to give black women credit or a special mention. It's the weirdest shit. Just out of nowhere. Like, what was his point of even especially? And that separation is causing a lot of the trouble that black people are going through. We have shit like this going on because black women feel that they're more special than black men. That's why you can't separate shit. Black women feel as if a lot of times as if they're their own fucking group. Like, we're not black like them. We're the other black people because we were born female. And this, so as far as the way that they handle things in this shitty political climate, they handle things like, well, whatever's going on with y'all is not affecting you black men. That's your problems, and they're bothering you. The law is against you. The government hates you. White people hate you. America hates you, but not us. It's your fucking problem, black guy. That's the way a lot of black women feel. I've actually been told this shit online. They're like, you guys are the ones being shot and killed by the police, not us. Bragging about it. But anyways, Annie Dookhan can eat a dick. That devil. They said that she had to serve like 3 to 5 years. They said, I guess she already served her time and now she's on probation. She helped contribute to the destruction of many people's lives, including their children. And this bitch gets off with time served, I guess, and some probation. Why? Because she was a chemist with a fake master's degree. Oh my God. Now, if I'm not mistaken, she's Indian. I'm pretty sure that's what she is. But if she were a black male, do you really think that she would have got off the easy? Just a question. But anyways, let me know what you think about it all below. Be sure to subscribe to the Meat Magazine YouTube channels. Visit meatmagazine.blogspot.com for more. Follow me on Twitter at Meat Magazine, Meat Magazine 7 on Google+, Meat Magazine blog on Instagram. Be sure to hit the notification button. It's right next to the subscribe button. Once you press that button, you'll be notified, alerted when new videos get posted. that bitch should have been in jail for the rest of her life.